Alright, welcome to episode 3 of Shadow the Hedgehog. Now we are well on our way to moving through what I believe is the canonical storyline of the game, the one that's truly supposed to set up the final story ending. And last time, you saw us go through Cryptic Castle as we rescued Amy and Cream, and then we went to Sky Troops and took down the alien space ruins that they'd evidently put on our planet years and years ago. And then we followed the cutscenes all the way to the Ark. And now we're hanging out with Sonic on the Ark, entering the level called Space Gadget. And Space Gadget is set on, like I said, is set on the Ark itself. I think I've said the word Ark several times now to emphasize that point. But Space Gadget's kind of an interesting level because there are two of its missions, the hero mission and the neutral mission, both involve getting the Chaos Emerald. The only difference is the hero mission requires you to do it in 5 minutes, and the theory behind that is that you actually are involved in a race against Sonic. So Sonic will get to the point where the Chaos Emerald is in exactly 5 minutes. And that's how you keep track of Sonic rather than following a doppelganger or something like that around the board. We're not going for the hero mission here. The hero mission in this level would necessitate Shadow defeating Sonic in a race and becoming a true, therefore surpassing him as the true hero of the story and giving us access to the true hero pathway at the last possible moment that we could have gotten access to it. And we're not doing that. It is probably an easier way to go than to play through Final Impact if you are interested in getting to the true hero story and the two endings for that story. But we are not headed that way. We are headed down the neutral path, so I'm not really in much of a hurry here moving through these areas and the gravity controls. So, there's some definite Sonic Adventure 2 themes going on here, and some callbacks to Shadow's level of a final chase, with the different gravity controls hanging around. Structurally, there's a lot of, platforms just kind of dangling around, which sort of reminds one of Egg Fleet from Sonic Heroes. And then we also have these couple of interior sections. Interestingly enough, the big gun we picked up at the beginning of the mission is not the big gun that we picked up here. And the gun mechs, there are actual differences between the mechs and the guns that they carry. And evidently now they carry this slightly more assault rifle-y gun, as opposed to the big tank killer gun that we had earlier. So whatever, we're going to ride on this thing and kill aliens and miss jumps, because that's what we do in Shadow. Because of the ice physics, I'm often a little concerned about where Shadow jumps. Here's some Chaos Blast power for you. You can see that's a different gun than the one we have, but we need to find an elevator. Fortunately, there's this guy's hanging out. He can't do any damage to us while our Chaos Blast meter's going on. And, since we got it, let's might as well use it. So that's what Chaos Blast looks like. Yes, it took us to the final episode of the story pathway to show it. And there we have some trouble getting on that elevator platform. Now, this is where I ran into some problems on a couple of runs, because when I jumped up on this elevator platform, I got caught in a camera angle that didn't give me a good view of where I was going to land when I jumped off of the elevator. Okay, like this is actually a decent view here. Well, wait a minute. Nope. Wrong room. I'm talking about a different room. Okay, so hold on to that thought about elevators. Because there's another one coming. I think it's right here. Alright, so we're going to jump down and use our little assault rifle to kill these aliens. And since Sonic can't really assist us in this level, because we're racing him, in theory, it doesn't really do us any good to select him from the mission select screen. So I'm just going to let Black Doom yell at me for killing all the aliens. Of course, I could easily turn it off by just choosing the neutral hero mission. This is where I ran into trouble. The camera decided not to change for me. There's the indication that Sonic has reached the destination. And we got a ways to go, so, you know, it's not like we were on his tail or anything. That time, the camera actually changed where it was looking to enable me to make that jump. The first couple of times, it didn't, and so I misjudged the jump and ended up falling in the small gap between the elevator and the landing platform, which I didn't think was possible, but since I was basically doing the equivalent of falling off the edge as opposed to jumping off the edge, kept happening. Right, so we're going to move on here. Here's our favorite shield characters. And that activates Chaos Control. So, since we're headed toward the end of the level anyway, where the Chaos Emerald is, I go ahead and let it activate. And that brings us on some grind rails. A little bit of final rush going on here.
This is where the power is generated.
And then I find a shortcut, maybe. It's up, you know, so I can sort of see something going on up there, but I'm not really sure if I can reach there, so I tried a homing attack into the gravity controller here. I even tried to shoot it, which doesn't do me any good. And this is where, you know, it sends me around a bunch of grind rail areas. But you can see I'm headed straight for that platform, so I'm not hurting from doing this. And there's a checkpoint. And there's the Chaos Emerald right there. So Sonic was nice enough to leave it for us. We pick it up. We've completed the neutral mission. And we are ready to head into the Ark. And somehow we got a C rank. I say that because, you know, we weren't moving particularly fast. And the grading curve on these things usually bottoms out pretty quick. So now we're into the Ark. And someone is waiting for us here.
Damn it. What does it all mean? These memories, the doctor's actions and words. Nothing makes sense. Was it real? It's been a long time, Shadow. Who are you?
Now, I will point out that we've killed numerous killed, not the right word. We've disarmed numerous gun mechs, and we've disarmed gun soldiers throughout this playthrough. So the idea that this lone general with a pistol is going to do anything to Shadow the Hedgehog is sort of laughable. But we do get one of the more informative cutscenes that you'll get in this game, which tells us that the general, like Shadow, was a friend of Maria's.
And because of you,
Although he does tell us that he has no family. Keep an eye on that comment later.
witnessing it all, the plan to create
And
a horrifying evil creature.
the man who will grow up to be the gun commander
Black creature, and that insane
knew from a very early age that Shadow was the creation of aliens and Dr. Gerald Robotnik. Which explains why he went after Shadow with very little compunction,
The professor created me.
you know, from the very earliest cutscenes in this
You
game.
don't fool me. It's not just about Maria.
Then we have the
knew and loved was killed.
contradictory line.
Worst of all, my family.
After saying he has no family,
Justice is
he then complains that Shadow killed his family. And
What you say is true.
then expects his one bullet to do the job. Again, that his mechs, and depending on the storyline you've played, you've also seen some of the real gun-type mechs, potentially. And so this leads us into what will be our final level for the playthrough, Cosmic Fall. And Cosmic Fall is one of... let's just say that it's an acquired taste. Cosmic Fall demands you to do something with Shadow that you really haven't
This whole place collapsing.
necessarily had to do the whole game. And that includes Space Gadget, where we just were, even though that is also an arc-based level. And that is to do some precision platforming.
The scale of destruction.
So you're going to be jumping from debris piece to debris piece, sometimes utilizing your homing attack
All of the passageways
to get
are
through.
collapsing.
And sometimes the game will surprise you in ways that you can't prepare for.
To find out the truth.
I've had platforms blow up on me when I was trying to figure out where to make the next jump. But the first part is... the first part's simple enough. In that, I mean, it's very obvious what you have to do. You have to get from these platform to platform. You can use your homing attack, but you have to be careful because sometimes you won't recover quite the direction you want from the homing attack in this area. And so, yeah, I did die a few times here in recording this footage. So we get over here. We kill the big guy with, by giving him a big panel. Now, you saw us take down, or, throw a school bus earlier in the game and play with dynamite and stuff. And some people have problems with the idea that Shadow has got some sort of super strength, but that doesn't really bother me. Shadow, for all intents and purposes, was supposed to be the ultimate life form. So the idea that he would have extra strength just sort of would make sense. It would inform that. In a way, it's something that makes him different than Sonic. And, people want characters who aren't Sonic to be different than Sonic in some way. Alright, so now we are hitting the checkpoint, and there's Vector the Crocodile, the closest thing to a leader that Team Chaotix has. And Vector has gotten the most screen time of any Chaotix member in the video games. This has been particularly true in the spin-off games lately. He's been in most of the Olympic Series games as a usable character. He's also in Sonic Free Riders, the disaster that was Sonic Free Riders. But this is probably his most iconic appearance, because this is the level where the meme "Find the Computer Room" comes from. Now, I'm not going to spend time changing my mission and activating it for Vector to do that. There's a jump cut there because, again, because of the deaths. Here in the spinning section, you've got to be very careful. And this is where I ran into the exploding platform problem. Not in the ones that are turning around. I really don't know what causes something to have free rotation like this, but I guess I got hit by the debris. It was down here. If you stay on this platform for too long, and the problem is the game kept, instead of letting me jump off of it, the game kept hanging up my feet on the edge of the platform, and so I kind of got stuck there. So then you get to this platform, and it starts to behave like an elevator. I'm not exactly sure why,
Quick, let's get out of here.
but it starts. It clearly looks like it begins to ascend here. And you can maneuver yourself to collect some rings from these balloons. And this is kind of a foreshadowing of what you'll be doing for much of the final boss fight. Cosmic Fall has a 15-minute time limit. That really won't be a problem. Particularly if you die right there. Alright, so there was a death that we didn't cut out. Just so you can see how easy it is to misjump on these platform segments. And Shadow's homing attack, which functions as an air dash when there's no enemies around. Not necessarily the most precise thing, so we're gonna grind on some stuff, bounce on some springs, avoid that big guy, and head back into the Arc power plant. Take care of some final business here. You can see our ring count. Well, of course our ring count's small because we didn't beat anybody. I'm going to stay away from Black Doom here, just so I don't have to switch out of having Vector as my partner. It doesn't make a difference, but I prefer the idea of having that partner around, sort of Sonic 2 style. There we get hit by a floor laser. Now we got to find the elevator to get back up.
The green fluid in this room looks like something you probably don't want to touch.
And there it is over there. And it's a good thing we saw it too, because it goes up and down on a timer. So in theory, we could have kept missing it depending on what was going on. But we're now to 8 minutes on our countdown. For what we're doing, that's not a big deal, and really it's not a big deal even if you continue on to find the computer room. So we're going to go under the shutter using our spin dash, and we haven't really used that power very much in this playthrough. But you can spin dash. There's the Chaos Emerald, and we are going to go grab it. Which, again, is technically the villain ending, or the dark ending to this mission.
Soon the truth will be revealed.
But it shows up before the computer room does. And somehow we still managed to get a C rank, even though we died a few times, including on camera. So this leads us to the boss fight.
Doctor?
And who's waiting at the end of the semi-hero path? It's none other than Dr. Eggman himself. I guess having followed us to the Ark after his victory in Sky Troops.
I must uncover the truth.
And now we're here to take him on, in a grudge match to prove who is the better Gerald Robotnik creation, the grandson, or the mutant alien Hedgehog. And to take on Dr. Eggman, we meet his dumbest vehicle creation ever. Oh, there are Eggman foes that are, slower, perhaps more dim-witted, but this is the only one that allows you to injure Eggman and cause him to hurt himself. So here we hit the little buttons with our homing attack, and we caused a landmine to injure Dr. Eggman. Here we're going to set off a bunch of rings in the middle of the board. We're not going to actually go and get those, but they are there. If we had a gun, we could shoot the egg dealer. We don't have a gun. We're not going to get a gun by the time that this level's over. But another thing, Shadow Fever, a strange addition to Eggman's machine here, giving us the ability to use Chaos Blast a couple times and do more damage to him. If you're thinking, okay, well, why include Shadow Fever? Well, he is building a series of Shadow Androids that we would meet and we played other levels in the game. But as far as I can tell, those Shadow Androids never really display the chaos powers of the real Shadow the Hedgehog. And therefore, I'm not sure that giving them the ability to use Shadow Fever would actually do what you wanted here. So, alright, we've got the landmine coming out again. This time we're going to be a little further away when it explodes, so we don't lose what little rings we have. And we're pretty much down to the final hit on Dr. Eggman. And this time he'll hit himself with the missiles. Now the egg dealers, the only danger the egg dealer could do is if the egg dealer is given time to select the third option himself. Because then he will target you.
Be gone. I will not allow you to defile the...
But as Vector jams in the background, we have defeated the egg dealer and completed the canon storyline, or what I believe to be the canon storyline, within the Shadow the Hedgehog game. And the reason why I believe this is the canon storyline is about to be shown to you. And it has nothing to do with what Shadow says in his speech here. It has everything to do with what he doesn't say.
You ungrateful little pest. Have you forgotten
Now, there are,
it was my
of the 10 endings to the game, there are 4 of them that involve Dr. Eggman. In 3 of those endings, it is very much implied that Shadow kills the Doctor. This is the only ending where Shadow doesn't kill Dr. Eggman after defeating him. Okay, so he gives his speech about defending the legacy of the Ark. And then we go into the credits. And if you played through either of the endings on the semi-hero pathway, the 4th pathway going down, if you're looking at the map, then the song you get is Chosen One. Not one of the more, I guess, celebrated songs, because everybody remembers the song that you get at the end of the hero pathway, which is All Hail Shadow. So before we leave this, let's talk about why we went this particular route, why we went on the path that the library calls a vow to the victims. Well, it has to do with 2 things, really. First off, it's the only path that allows for the conditions of the final story to actually happen. The final story requires Dr. Eggman to be alive, which doesn't happen in the 3 other endings that involve Dr. Eggman. It requires Sonic and the Gun Commander to be around. And there are some endings where Shadow defeats Sonic and the Gun Commander. And so they wouldn't be in position. And in those endings, Shadow, except for the quote-unquote Vegeta ending, where Shadow just wanted to beat Sonic, in those endings, Shadow makes proclamations like he's going to destroy everything or whatnot. Okay, so our conditions, we need Dr. Eggman to be alive. Again, that eliminates 3 of the endings. We need the gun commander to be away from the scene of action. So that eliminates 2 more. Well, actually, that eliminates 3 more of the endings. And we need Black Doom not to be defeated, because the final story is the ultimate defeat of Black Doom. And if you have defeated him beforehand, that doesn't really jive with the idea of the story. So in the end, the only ending that allows for the conditions of the final story to happen, even though it doesn't necessarily make a lot of sense for Shadow to go visit the comet after finding himself, except that, or after defeating or gathering all 7 Chaos Emeralds. But it's the only, it's the only route you've got. And again, the reason we went off through Cryptic Castle, we'll talk about, we mentioned before. And I'll see you next time for the final story.